Morning has broken like the first morning. I know we've had this conversation before, but what's your favourite tea bag? Do you remember when I tried to go organic and unbleached and I couldn't bear the tea because I decided that a big part of my love of tea is bleach?
Have you ever teabagged?
Oh, shut up. Shut it.
What is teabagging?
2 balls in your face. Tennis balls, of course.
It's Wimbledon soon. Does anyone look? He's licking his bits.
Morning, everybody. Morning, everybody.
So your favourite tea bag? Favourite tea bag? I think because of you, Yorkshire has become my favourite.
Yeah. For years, Mum was PG, and I could still do a PG, but the other day I accidentally had a Tetley.
Not good. No, I've not enjoyed a Tetley.
It's the bit
Hang on, what's that?
Leaves you with something on your teeth.
What's the
Yorkshire Gold
one?
always, says Cassie.
Or the clock one, or TikTok? Is there a
TikTok? That's Roobush.
Huh?
Roobush tea. Roobush.
No, there's one that you often get abroad. It's fucking horrible.
Oh no, Lipton's.
Lipton.
Oh my God. In Jordan, they always give you Liptons where my dad's from.
I would actively punch someone.
We'd try and get 6 Liptons for one bag of 1 cup of tea. Can't give a Lipton to a British person. If there's any of our foreign friends here, if you have a British visitor, do not give them Liptons.
Francis Winrow says Thai food.
Oh God, Thai food, you're old school.
Tetley, let's flavour.
I didn't even know Thai food was still around.
Do you remember that? The strapline.
Let the tea.
Let flavour.
The ads were great.
Out.
The ads were great. Are there any great ads on anymore?
No.
Is there one that could pop to mind?
What now? No.
Do you know what we should do, Mark?
Irish tea, says Zoe Agnew. We're going to be talking about an Irish dish soon.
We should be doing some vintage
adverts
because we love it. We love a good old vintage nostalgia chat on here, don't we?
It's not only they don't make adverts like they used to, they don't make adverts.
Yeah.
I mean, they do because there are adverts everywhere, but they're never really for things that one really wants.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep itching. I have to slap my hand.
On that note, though, what I do remember as a kid, I was describing this to Nadia the other day. I used to get so excited when my mum would buy a box of tea bags. Because we used to get tea cards. Do you remember collectible cards?
Yeah.
And then usually they would go on a kind of wall
for
chart. I remember wildlife ones and.
I remember my nan used to collect those and number 6 cards.
Do you think it's a shame things like that aren't done anymore? Collectibles. Yeah. I mean, I know there's obsessive collectibles, and I'm a big one for that. But just small things that kids can just collect.
Well, maybe they do.
They don't.
But it's McDonald's though now, isn't it?
There's still football cards and football stickers.
Yeah.
Rachel Pickard, adverts don't have storylines anymore.
No, they don't.
That's a good point. The Tango advert that gave everyone concussion. Do you remember the outcry when he'd run up to someone in the street and tango them?
Yeah, you're tangoed.
Such a good advert. Sarah D, I saw the lemonade advert you always sing the other day, Mark.
I'm a secret.
It was so funny.
I wait.
I'm trying to give it up, but it's one of those nights.
I wait.
Oh, it's lemonade. and then she comes in and he does something like this. She goes, oh no! He makes a really weird noise when he's caught.
Yes, Zoe, you did get some Irish tea bags and they were gorgeous. Actually, a couple of our Irish followers have introduced us to Irish tea and we really loved it. And the tatter.
Just haven't been able to buy it again.
Yeah. Oh, my hands drive me crazy.
Tell us about your hands now. What's going on?
No. Right. If you see me scratching, just say slap.
Oh, babe, that's really bad.
Oh, God, it's better than it was yesterday. It was so bad.
Lord.
I thought mine were going to burst open again yesterday.
Sweetie.
So bad. Anyway, enough.
Anyway, what are we talking about today? We're going to be talking about parental burnout. I did a live for anyone who needs to stay or wants to stay across the Iran-Israel Middle Eastern crisis. I did a live last night at 11:45, and interestingly, rather, fortuitously, things literally haven't moved on that much from last night. But I posted it in case things did. So if you want to sort of catch up on things, do head over to that live.
Yeah, and also again, if things, if there's anything that we feel we need to talk about, we will do another video later.
Absolutely.
And it is kneecap day today because kneecap are in the courts.
Yes, I mean, as I understand it, is he simply going in to hear his charges?
I'm not sure.
I think so. But I tell you what, everyone now needs to champion kneecap, unless, of course, you're really anti most things in the world. You know, if you're like my grandparents, they would never support kneecap because they didn't support anything that wasn't British.
Yeah.
But kneecap, we need to be rooting for kneecap. So what are we talking about today, Nads? We're talking about parental burnout.
Please hit the subscribe button if you can, folks. It really helps us out. It's just the two of us here. So yeah, if you could help us to continue in the way that we do just by hitting that subscribe button, it's fantastic.
I'm lucky though, because it's me, it's her, and she's got fabulous breasts. Sorry.
Coffee moaning, parental burnout.
Parental burnout, we're going to talk about
Mark
that.
found this article and I really like it as a springboard for us to have an honest chat between us all.
Yeah, parental burnout. We're going to talk about why are and should they be short men a problem? What makes a short man? What do women find unbearable about short men? Or maybe women don't care. And what is a moderate drinker? Now,
this scared the shit out of me, and I am going. Well, we'll talk about that. I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing.
And the interesting thing about this is, don't be put off by the title because it comes up all the bloody time. But it was one of those pieces where actually I quite like the way it was written. I liked her honesty, and as you dug into it, I thought, wow, fucking hell. Everyone I know is a problem drinker, and it's not about shaming you, but it's astonishing just how much alcohol we drink.
Oh, thanks, Mail. Mail says put a wet tea bag on my itchy hand.
Oh, what sort of tea bag though? Oh, it's a new type of tea bagging, Nads. And we're going to talk about, I've just put kebabs in the title because I thought maybe someone fancied one, but we're going to be talking about how kebabs as that last late night dish when one's had a little bit too much alcohol, how the kebab is going out of fashion and something new is coming in.
Oh, and it sounds so yum. Mark,
yes.
So I'm going to have a go at making it because it sounds delicious.
And I think some of our Irish followers will be across what it is, I think. So shall we start with parental burnout?
Thanks. See, I always take your advice, folks. I'm trying to teach.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay.
Well, that reminds me. Do you remember when you were at school and they'd get you to do a map and then you had to age it and then you get tea bags?
They still use that, designers in theatre and TV and stuff. Right. So let's start with parental burnout because it takes us away very much from the sort of stuff we've been talking about recently, and bring it more homegrown. You love your kids, but you can't stand them.
Wow,
you may have parental burnout. Now,
strong words.
Yeah. So it's really interesting whenever a parenting topic comes up on Loose Women, and we have a meeting beforehand, and I might say something like, well, you all know how much I adore my kids, and my kids know how much I adore them. And I might say something like, yeah, but say for instance, like, oh, I love reading every night to my child. It's the most beautiful bit. All right. Oh, there's nothing I love better than making them nice little sandwiches and cutting everything up. And there's nothing better than no matter what I'm doing, they want me to sit and cuddle with them on the sofa.
Thanks,
all
Steph.
those things can be lovely, but also they can be fucking boring and annoying and irritating and demanding and exhausting. And you can feel like the very life force is being stolen from you. Usually because a lot of sleep has been stolen from you as well. And it goes back to this thing that we can have many thoughts at the same time. But it's amazing how every time, all sometimes, or some at least, of the Loose Women will say, oh God, do you think you should say that? And that always makes me think, when people say that to me, I always think, absolutely, I should say that then. Because I think there is so much around parenting that is still taboo, and with the added horror of Instagram and TikTok, where there's so much perfection sold, and interestingly, a younger Loose Woman was saying a while back also, there's a lot sold about how awful it is on Instagram. You go, oh, I've been totally put off having children because you've got those sort of influence that are like, it's all a nightmare and I hate it. And the thing is, it's not one thing or the other. It can be all those things. I mean, some people can have a child and completely reject it and not love it at all. And they're the people I feel most sorry for.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting topic because the first thing I thought when I went to this topic was, okay, are we talking here about low level or possibly high level postnatal depression? That idea of actually it's a real struggle to genuinely. This isn't about that. I think this is very much about you want to be a parent. You've enjoyed being a parent. You've enjoyed being a parent. You're connecting with your kids. Then my next thought went to, oh, wow, this is interesting because this is the toddler thing. And there's a really interesting person in it who sort of says how a mother who says she actively dreads the weekends as they're coming towards her.
And she says she feels bad about that because everyone else is like, oh, it's the weekend.
Yeah, and the reason she's dreading the weekend is that she's obviously 100% responsible for her kids. They're not at school. She can't drop them off. And you haven't got space to think, breathe, or have a thought. So there was that thought around parental burnout, around young kids, which I think is very much an exhaustive thing. It's a kind of time, not enough time. I'm depleted. I can't raise myself to this level.
So demanding.
And that's less about the kid. Then there's a different kind of parental burnout, which I kind of went to this article thinking it would be about, and it wasn't really about, but I think it could be about too. And someone asked up here, Hilary Daly, does that count for adult kids too? And I think this is an interesting,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it does, and I think it can. And again, no one could love my children more than me. That doesn't mean that there aren't issues and problems.
Isn't it awful that we have to caveat?
No. And I think the reason maybe your colleagues say things to you like, are you willing to say that? It's not about whether you love your kids or not, but quotes can be taken out of context. You see that headline just plonked on like I did when I went to my nan's once, where it said Nadia's relationship, marriage in tatters. You know, you're sort of like, I read it, I went, is it? I didn't realize. And it was something you'd said on Loose. So I think the worry is sometimes that quote can be taken out.
No. The worry is it's not that. Sometimes it might be, but the worry is that we are not supposed to say those things because we could be attacked for saying them.
But I think no one could be more demonstrably adoring of our children than us. And yet I would say that most kids, when they're older, and I think this is a generational thing as well, need us. Kids need you as much as they needed you when they were young, just in a different way as they get older. And sometimes I feel, I have to use this line, I haven't got the bandwidth today. And I feel terrible. I feel absolutely awful if I think I can't,
because they don't always have the bandwidth for us.
No, and neither should they. Yeah.
This is where I come with it, right?
So I've just got to do some press ups before I've denied all my kids.
Is there any other relationship in our lives that we can have times and moments where we feel burnt out by it? Yes. Parents. Yes. Grandparents. Yes. Your relationship with your partner. Yes. Your relationship with
your, have to give that one extra emphasis.
Your relationship with your friends, your relationship with your boss, your relationship, every single relationship, it is acceptable that we can have positive and negative responses and feelings and fears about, but when it comes to our children,
it's a big no-no.
It's a big no-no. And so I love anything like this, these articles that bring these up. And you know, the thing is what I always say is I'm a very lucky person in that I have good friends. I have a job where I can talk about a lot of the stuff that I'm thinking, feeling, and I've got a supportive partner. But an awful lot of people are left, don't you think, with a sort of a real isolated feeling around this.
Oh,
and it can become an echo chamber of guilt, which then doesn't help anything.
I also want to throw in another kind of, and we're going to then talk, share your comments. Another thing to throw into this debate, I think there's potentially a very different sense of parental burnout for a mum than there is for a dad.
Yeah.
And I think that is,
because it's always the mum that's called.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the mum who, more often than not, certainly when kids are younger, is the one that is emotionally called upon. And then when they're teenagers, is also emotionally called upon.
But also when they're younger, and if there's both of you are working, it's always the mum that has to work out what's going to happen if they're sick, or if who's going to rush home, it's always the mum.
Yeah, I mean, that's a gross generalization. I'm not saying that it's the case for everyone, but by and large, it is true. But the other thing that I think feeds into my own personal sense of this story is when you have had children, and I've had two, that I wasn't their primary carer. I split up and I had shared custody. What kind of weirdly happened for me with our two girls is I would experience parental burnout far less because I was forever wishing and longing for the same contact time with my other children that I had with these two. So I had a heightened sense of appreciation of even the downtimes. That's not to say it wasn't difficult, but I think that things that would normally, so for example, I never tired of reading them a story, ever. I could have gone on for another 10 years, but that was because I was always thinking I didn't get the chance to do this with my older girls, or I didn't get a chance to do this. But also,
and I know you won't mind me saying this, also you were always the fun dad, and I was always the one that was doing the more.
Could have been a miserable dad.
No. Listen, it's not an accusation. It's the fact that also because you'd had children before and you wanted to be like, you didn't want to cause any sort of, you didn't like telling them off. And a lot of men don't
but
like
did you hear what I just said there in terms of what I was missing out on? I
Yeah.
profoundly ached for time with my older girls. And so that made even the most kind of challenging times with our girls valuable.
But I still think that's kind of saying that it's wrong if you don't, because it feels a little bit like it, because it's like, oh, I always do, whatever the matter is, I always want to. Well,
No, I'm just saying from my
I don't know if
experience,
that's
that's how
even
it was
true.
for me.
I don't even know if that's true. Like if you'd had as much contact time, because when they were younger, you know, I would do more of the day-to-day sort of stuff, because
Who are you talking about now?
about between the two of us, with the day-to-day stuff I would do, the shit.
No, I was just talking on
so
an
by the
emotional
time
basis.
you get to no, and I get that and I understand that, and I think that's totally right. But I'm saying also, I do think, because generally speaking, women do more of the
no one's disputing
humdrum stuff, don't they? They're like, so you might really love to just to read for as long as whatever, if you haven't seen them all day, or you haven't seen them for the last 5 hours. But when you've seen them for 14 hours,
I agree,
and you are bored shitless, and you are desperate for a gin and tonic and Coronation Street or a chat with a mate, the last thing you want to do is lie snuggled up reading with them. And what comes with that is like real guilt when you resent them, you know. You just feel like, shit, I don't want to be here, you know, and I'm turning 10 pages. I mean, I'm giving reading as an example, but I'm saying there's loads and loads of things like that, isn't there? Like getting down on the floor and playing Lego. Mark would play that for hours. I didn't want to play it for hours. And I used to feel like I was being really selfish that I couldn't play Lego for hours with them.
I get what you're saying, but what you're saying is dangerously sounding like all men have daddy privilege.
No, I
don't think is necessarily wrong, because I've kind of admitted that. I think you're absolutely right. I think mums generally deal with all of the complications, practically, emotionally, and everything else. So I think this is far more of something for mums in general. But I just find it interesting when I look back upon those moments where, like playing in the playground, I would never get to a point of not wanting to do it, and that is daddy privilege, but it was amplified by the fact that I was also trying to make up for something that I couldn't deliver to 2 other girls. So I do think it is different for the genders. I think it's different for dads and it's different for mums.
And we've got so many comments coming in, so I really want to read some of them. We must have Laura after this. I have major parent burnout. This is Hayley at the moment. I'm having very difficult time with my 9-year-old son with behavioural issues. He runs me down to the ground and it's very exhausting. And I want to give you a huge hug, because what can happen as well, so much, can't it, when you're in a period of time like that with your child, is that you can feel like all you're ever doing is saying no, and all you're ever doing is shouting at them, all you're ever doing is in conflict, and then they can, and it just escalates and escalates and escalates, doesn't it? So it's like my mum said to us, every morning I would wake up and I would think, oh, please God, not another day. That's motherhood. That's what my mum said to
Natasha
me.
Dilmos, I think most men do have daddy privilege, but I think it's an important phrase. I'm not saying it like, oh, it's true. I think it's true. I think it's a shame, because I don't think everything that dads do is only shot through with daddy privilege, but we have to kind of, like white privilege, acknowledge it's what allows us to be the fun guy most of the time.
Exactly. And a lot of
it's very hard when you were the one doing everything all day long and then having to do the nights as well.
And the thing is, it's doing the shitty stuff, isn't it? It's like spending an hour sometimes pulling the tangles out of their hair, and them like being angry with you because you're doing it, but they've got bloody tangled hair, or like making them clear up their room just so that they can find the book for school the next day. You know, most dads, I mustn't say most, a lot of dads do not have to do that shitty stuff, and so they're more open to the
I loved changing a nappy.
Yeah, but you didn't do it anything like the amount of times I did.
No, of course not. But
so if you did it a million times,
to other men, I would say that whenever we were out, I would always be the one.
You're a good partner.
Scoop them up into a restaurant toilet, and
every single time you went to a restaurant, I never ever changed the babies.
No,
never. Mark did it every single time when we were on a plane. Every single time. You were great. I would never say any different. But
no one does it anywhere near as many times as mums. I get that.
No, it's not that as well. It's just like, say like sometimes if you had them all day,
yes,
right, because you are very driven by your work and your interest,
Yeah.
you would be by the end of it.
Yes.
You wouldn't have wanted to then.
No,
read it.
and
You'd have wanted to go on your computer and do your stuff. That's what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
and also I remember many times where I would look at a situation that was developing with the girls around complications to do with their hair, or to do with their
or to
hair.
do with anything
Well,
that's
no,
dramatic.
but hair was always hysteria time, and I would just slowly. It was like that film, The Party, starring Peter Sellers. I'd be at the end of the garden, just like suddenly looking at a wall.
And I think that's what we're talking about, the feeling that you can't evacuate, the feeling that this is relentless day in, day out, and that sometimes you wake up and you think, I don't like you. And I think that's what this article was speaking to. Really.
There's a lot coming through here. Lucy Williams, I had to read the school books with my 2 boys. The characters were called Biff and Chip. I remember
don't tell
them.
Me about Biff and Chip.
I hated Biff and Chip. And I honestly felt like if I ever saw those names ever again, I might shoot myself.
Oh, I was the same.
Tony Loza, hi again, Tony. Just be thankful there's a daddy sticking around to have the daddy privilege. Some of us mums are at it alone. Every family is different. To everyone on here, keep doing your best. Keep going.
Do you know what, Tony?
Yeah, lovely comment,
I
Tony.
say this all the time, Tony. I say I literally do not know how single parents do it. I just don't know. I think it sounds like, I mean, obviously there's going to be huge rewards because you've got that intensity and you can do what you want. But I think it must be bone achingly difficult not to have that person that you go at the end of the day, oh, can you? Or to talk about even the nice times. Oh, they were really funny today. They did this. So I have huge respect and would say I wouldn't have managed if it was me. I wouldn't, honestly.
No,
I'd have cracked up.
Cassie R, it's the thinking for everyone, constantly being on. Not all, but most dads can just think about their day and their needs only.
My mum was saying that yesterday.
Better to let hair get tangled than a lifetime of apologising. That was the rationale. That was the rubric I was using.
My mum, even yesterday, 87 years old, and we were chatting to her, weren't we? And I'd taken my dad the day before for opticians, right? And he read every damn line. He's 92 this year. And she went, well, and I said, but he has been good, hasn't he? He's always done his eye exercises all through the years and his yoga stretching. He goes, well, that's because he's never had to think about another thing except himself his entire life. And I thought, actually, that is true.
That is true. And to be honest with you, as a man, when I heard that sentence, I think I always feel guilt, and I am aware. I think the best you can do as a dad is have awareness of the privilege, because the other part of the equation that I don't think mums recognise often is kids more often than not will naturally prefer to go to their mums than to a dad, because a dad often is a bit clumsy, a bit stupid, a bit dense, isn't quite reading the room, doesn't really know the complications. There are certain times where I'd really not like to add, going back to the question, could this be specific to older kids? Let me be honest with you now, with all 4 of my elder daughters, sometimes I lose the will to live because the layers and layers and layers of complications, I'm pivoting left and right. And then I'll say something and I want to contribute to the conversation. And what I get is rightly a raised eyebrow from Nadia, like, do not go down that cul-de-sac.
Sometimes you do come in a bit with a sledgehammer. Oh, so are we saying to a little bit of subtlety?
Russ Souch, I'm just making a note. You're a lovely, you look like a lovely dad.
We had this book.
I don't remember this book. Steve Buddock, raising I didn't have time to read it. I was busy raising girls. Raising girls.
And it's
Thank
great
you,
as a
Russ.
dad.
I'm sure you don't need it at all.
To investigate further, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good chip lollipop.
I get that now. My 3 kids are all at home in their 20s. I haven't had a day off or a holiday in 27
Jesus
years.
Christ.
There's a different kind of demand, isn't there, when they're older?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'm going to be honest with, and I don't want to name anyone, but there will be times where I'll see the phone go. I'll always text straight off the back of a phone call and say, is this urgent? Are you safe? And if it's like, yeah, I'll be like, just give me 10 minutes. I'm in the middle of something because I need to just go.
Prepare myself. Because it's always a huge story.
Yeah, it's always a big story.
Jackie Pugh, I've done it all for my 4 children with the help of my husband, but it's true about always being on.
Yes.
Even in bed, we're on. Now my kids are more independent. I'm doing it for my mum. That's worse.
That's a really interesting point. So am I. Can I just say, though, can I ask you, when the girls are out, I feel like I'm more on because I'm ready to jump in a car and go and get them.
You're never not on once you've had a child. And never.
Right.
You're always ready, aren't you?
But will you relax if you know that I'm on?
When you, yeah. I mean,
I'm connecting with them overnight. Will you be able to get? You can go. I notice you can go upstairs and think, oh, I can go to sleep because I know Mark's going to liaise.
The other day on Loose Women, all the Loose Women were saying, oh, I oh no, I can't go to sleep till my kids home. I said, oh my God, I always feel so bad about this. You know, when people say, and I said this on the show, oh God, I can't drop off until I've heard that key in the door and they're in safe. I look like, I always go to sleep.
No, I know. Because I'm always listening to every door key going in every door. And
I should be awake and worried.
I'm sat there with 8 screens and snap maps on everything going, yep, they're coming into Balham. It's fine.
Yeah. Look, here's a positive one from Bev. My four girls and all out now are now ladies, grown up and all left home. I love to have that time back.
Oh, Bev, that's a different way of looking at it. Our Louisiana friend, Braxton the Snake Fiend.
Hi, Braxton.
Picture being raised in a Black American household. There was no such thing as a behavioral issue. My folks didn't understand that. And teens are out here acting like they're grown.
Yeah, you do see. I mean, it's like my West Indian friends here when they talk about the strictness.
Oh my God! I grew up in a lot of West Indian homes, and I remember Tony Levine. God bless your soul. You were the most astonishing. I've never met a woman like you. I still know her daughter Justine, and Justine, I'm sure would
she was
testify.
Your childminder.
She was my childminder, and I spent 2 days a week with her for most of my childhood, 2 evenings a week. And I remember her when she meted out punishment. My jaw hit the floor. My eyes would lock on the 1970s version of Batman on the telly. And as Tony came back through the room, she'd look at me and she'd go, "You're lucky you're a white boy."
Oh, God.
It was very fun. I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
To Sarah D, I get anxiety just waiting for my kids to moan about what I'm making for dinner. I refuse to make 3 different meals every night.
Now, you see, this is what we're talking about. Right,
Natasha. Yeah.
I get anxiety waiting for my kids to moan about what I'm making for dinner. See, that's where it comes in. Where you can just. She goes, I get anxiety. She says, I get anxiety from waiting for my kids.
Yes.
What they're going to moan about dinner, and that's what I'm talking about. That's a lot, and we didn't say much about this article, but that's a lot about what this article is about. It's the day in, day outness. That's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and if there's any young people listening to this, just think about that comment from Sarah. Is that your mum? Do you come in every day and just like, oh, why is it that? Because, you know, it's a pain in the fucking ass thinking about what to cook, shopping to cook, cooking it, clearing up, you know. So just be a bit kinder to that. More often than not, it's the woman. That woman who is looking after you, often holding a job down, sometimes 2 jobs, and you moan about the dinner. Because maybe you could do this. Maybe you could say to your mum, do you know what I really love? I love it when you make da-da-da. Because you know what? A lot of us love that. Because like, oh, great, I can cook that. Because thinking of something day in, day out is so boring. The amount of times I ask my family, so what would you like? I don't know. You know, it's like, please. Come on, help me a little. I'm going to cook it. All you've got to say is what you'd like.
Well, have you seen Jen Brister did a brilliant piece of stand-up about this, where she talked about her mum. Her mum would put food down.
Oh yeah, yes.
And she'd say something like, they'd look at it and go, they don't like it. I don't like this, mum. And apparently her mum would look at them. I think she was Italian or something. She'd look at them and she'd go, you will like it.
Yeah,
you'll get to like it.
I remember sitting and crying for about 2 hours over a plate of vine leaves because I wasn't allowed to leave the table till I ate it. And whilst I was crying, I was thinking, I will never ever do this to my kids. And now I've made a rod for my own back. Can I just, Braxton the Snake Fiend, responding to my witnessing of the lashings in Ladbroke Grove. Butt whoppings are also positively effective. You'd rather get whipped up at home by your mum, I guess, than out in them streets. If you don't raise them at home, they'll get raised behind bars. It's,
so, you know,
it's a different bloody world, isn't it?
It really is.
It really is.
Has anyone else, just finally on this, done that thing though, where, and I think certainly as we get older, and you know, we're in our 50s now, Nadia's 60. Sometimes the kids are talking, and I literally turn off, and there's a sound, and I'm not hearing any of the details. And then suddenly you come back into the room, and they're looking at you like you should have listened to every single detail. Yeah. And then the next time they talk to you about something, 2 days, 3 days, a week later, you go, "Oh, who is that?" They go, "I was telling you about them." Yeah. And I'm like, can't do it. It's Rachel Thomas, that dinner convo is especially annoying when the kids are old enough to come and go all the time and bring friends. Are we being too damn soft? Yes. I think we need a good whooping.
Rachel Pickard, finding out I had ADHD really
Very
helped
Braxton.
explain why I found motherhood so overwhelming. The constant attempts to organise and decision paralysis. Rachel, thank you for bringing up this comment, because I'm at peace with having ADHD. I like having ADHD. I can see where it's served me and where it hasn't. But one of my big regrets is it definitely made being a mum so much harder than it needed to be. So much harder. And I do feel guilty about that. I shouldn't, because I was always trying to do my best. But yeah, the organisation, the gym bags, the day that it's got to go in, the homework, that everything, that, oh God, any kind of routine, so difficult. And Mark will tell you he's great with the routine, but actually he's not either. He's not. You're not really. Because like there's this rebellion thing in an ADHD brain where you don't want to, you however hard you try, there's something stopping you, isn't there, from doing something.
Why we went live at 9:45
to the
today.
order of something else. It's very strange. So yes, big heart out to ADHD parents.
Can I just say, because I don't think I say it enough, but I will say it. You are such a fantastic mum. You really are. No, because you manage to stay across all the finer details of friendship circles, boyfriends, incoming stresses, medical, health, all this kind of stuff. You cater for them in terms of food and everything else. I mean, you're a great mum. You're a great mum. So there you go. I too have hit perimenopause. Thanks, babe. I too have, that teabagging thing we were talking about.
Oh, shut up.
All right. I too have hit perimenopause and think I have ADHD, sincerity, and light bulb moment why I have found everything so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Me too. My mum would say, well, there's always cornflakes. My mum wouldn't even say there were cornflakes, would you, mum? There would just be Weetabix, which would slide onto the floor.
Elizabeth Millett has just been diagnosed at 46. You will start to notice so many things.
Brilliant topic. Let's move on.
Yeah, thank you for your honesty. Thank you for sharing.
We might subclip that as a separate thing for anyone who wants to just talk about parental burnout.
Yeah.
Let's talk about short men.
Oh, thanks, Mel. Well, hopefully I'll mother you a little bit on here.
Oh, Mile, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about short men. And before we get going on this, I'm just going to plop up some photos of some famous short men, or short. Now, this is the question. Short men. What makes a short man?
Oh, damn. Sorry. I did want to just read out this from Sarah just quickly because it had gone up before. It's just a dread. Food shop, dentist appointments, thinking up dinners to make, washing, everything else, and working full time. That is parental burnout. And it's okay to have it.
Well, right down to the fact that the World Health Organization recognized professional burnout. So why would you not have burnout in this situation?
God, it's a profession.
Yeah. Okay, so what makes a short man? What would you say makes a short man? Is it about measurements, or is it about who you're going out with?
Okay, so, right. An awful lot of women will say, because this is off the back, isn't it, of a dating app that's going to not...
No, a dating app is going to allow for you to put in your height details.
Oh, because did they not used to?
They didn't used to,
because...
And a lot of men of a certain diminutive height are worried that this will immediately knock them out of the playing field before they've even had a chance to.
And I think that's true, because we can all do this.
I'm going to pop Zoe's comment up just to keep us all chuckling whilst we move along.
What's it say?
I have been on misleading dates where they have a nice face in the pictures and then they arrive half the size.
Right. Okay. So what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
What's the problem with that when they do? So every woman I've ever known that said if somebody is shorter than them or thinner than them, it makes them feel huge.
Right.
So we're back down to all the social conditioning that a woman is supposed to be small, fit into a small space, be small, not take up space, be small next to their man.
I thought
so
that
deep
was
down, that's where it comes from.
Do you think, because that was one of the details that I thought in there, I thought, oh, this is interesting actually. I don't think this is about ostensibly the objective height of a man, whether that's attractive or not. It's about how it reflects on, it's very narcissistic.
No, I don't know. It's not narcissistic. It's a deep insecurity thing with a lot of people. It's like, oh, I'm going to feel really huge. And, you know how awkward it can feel to have sex with people and you just feel like, oh, I'm going to feel like this bigger person. There's this great girl on Instagram or TikTok, and she is like a proper powerhouse of a woman. You know, she's got great big buttocks like that. She's got big thighs.
She sounds fantastic.
She is like... And she's got a much smaller boyfriend, and she like picks him up.
Does she?
Sits on him like this,
Wow.
and it's all like Why can't what's wrong with being bigger than
And
my
is he
boyfriend?
happy about that?
Yeah, and
Is
you
he
can tell
looking-
they're having great sex and
Really?
everything. But I do think that I think it's rooted still in
Thanks,
that
Christopher.
subliminal thing that we're fed all the time, that we're supposed to be small, we're supposed to be
Looked after,
Yeah.
strength, it's alpha male and all that stuff, right?
So on paper,
Mhm.
I would say the majority of women are going to say, I don't want someone smaller than me. Because if I'm given the choice, and this is the problem with dating apps, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, well, if I'm given the choice, I want blue eyes and I want this and I want that, which is never allowing the fact that sometimes it's the indescribable. It's the electricity between two people.
Yeah.
So I would say on paper, I wouldn't want to be with anyone that's shorter than me.
Right.
But then and because I never went on dates, I've always got together with people because I've worked with them and seen them. So I might I walk into an office, and on the first day, there's somebody shorter than me and there's somebody that's taller than me, and they're both equally good looking, say, for instance. Okay, so this is never going to happen, but just to set up this ludicrous sort of mind exercise, thought exercise. And I'm going to go over to that one because he's taller. It's just like that, because that's what's on my list of what I want.
If they were sat down and you couldn't tell which was tallest.
But if the person, at the end of the day, for me, it's always going to be about something indefinable. It's always going to be about something chemical, something about them as a person that is eventually going to solidify something or not. And so I would eventually, whatever somebody had that wasn't what my thing is, if I'm like them enough, it's not going to matter.
Right. I mean, I think everyone who's asked this is going to give that answer. Everyone will wholesomely say love isn't...
No, that's not true.
Well,
Maybe
Zoe says she's very fussy, and it is about height.
No. Most women that I speak to say they would never go out with someone shorter than them.
That's really, really, what's the word? Shallow.
Yeah. Well, most men would say a lot of men would say I'd never go out with a woman that is obese.
But then, but that's a good point that you just raised there, because this app where they are going to put in your health, your height, a lot of people are saying, how is this any different to saying whether you're fat or thin, or putting in your weight? Again, it's all relative to that person. Also, it's a weird one to say. I think people can even carry their height. Just to give you the statistics, the average height of the Western man, American and English, the average height is 5'9". So if you tip over that, then you're slightly higher than average, and if you tip below that, then you're slightly lower. I've always been 5'10". My granddad was 6 foot. My so-called father, who I think is my father, though I'm not entirely sure, Mum, because we don't know who my father is, but he's 6'2" too. But my mum is 5'2" and is now 4'11". So the weird thing about all of this is that I have been in relationships where I have been shorter than a woman. I had a girlfriend at college. You used to mock me and tease me forever about a particular ex. And I would always stress to you that the reason she looked like she was taller than me was I was always in the process of handing over my child on the doorstep, and she was on a doorstep and I was always on a step beneath her.
Yeah, but I quite liked it because I thought I found that was a positive thing for me, because you weren't like, oh, I can't go out with a taller woman. No. But I don't know how to say this.
Okay, she wasn't taller.
She wasn't taller.
Okay. But I just want to make this point, because I don't think you didn't do it maliciously or horribly. It was lighthearted. But you were really indulging in height shaming with me and my ex.
But I did think it was a good thing.
But you would constantly mock me and go, "Oh no, Mark, you were always shorter."
But that is kind of like joking. And maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe that was bants. No. That actually is more bullying.
Because I'm a little bit sort of on the spectrum myself. I was a stickler for detail, and I would always get to, well, actually, no, that's not actually accurate. So I would get really sort of hung up about that. The thing is, though, I did go out with a woman called Louise when I was at university, who was a model, and she was 3 to 4 inches taller than me. And I remember walking through the high street of Canterbury. My mates were behind me, and in fact, my future partner, who you thought was taller than me but wasn't, was behind me. All I could hear was them laughing. And I turned around and I said, "What?" And they went, "You look fucking ridiculous."
That's awful.
But I think baked into that was what then went wrong in the relationship.
Well,
I had to
was
get a
gonna say,
stepladder to
because
kiss
you're
her.
so insecure. I would have thought that you wouldn't have never been able to go out with somebody.
But I never thought about the heights ever.
I mean,
Sometimes I remember flirting with someone once on a night out, and when they stood up, it was like a movie.
But you know, so many girls worry about it. Teenage girls worry about it so much.
What, being too tall?
That I'm going to be too tall. That's why I love Olivia Attwood, who, you know, is a loose woman. She is so tall, and then what she does is she puts extra heels on, so she's like massive, like she's up there, and she says, "I love it because it's really commanding. I just walk into a room and like everybody has to know." And that's what I was always saying to the girls when they were worrying they were going to be too tall. They didn't end up too tall, but I said, just if you own it, it's fantastic. But you'll see a lot of tall girls. They're like this.
Yeah,
they're bent over. They're really worried about it. They're convinced they'll never find a girlfriend.
I'm just showing some images.
Also, lots of men say, "Oh, I want a really tiny girl," because they want to feel like big and strong.
Oh, yeah, but I think that comes from really odd. See, all of that infantilizing and then alphaizing of men. It's also prehistoric, isn't it? It's
that
weird.
really worked. That tea.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm just popping up some images. If you're listening on podcast, we've got Tom Holland there with Zendaya. He's only 5 foot. He's 5'8", and she's 5'10". There's what's his name? Daniel Radcliffe with his wife. There's Kevin Hart. You can be short and you can be. I mean, humor. There's that adage, isn't there? That shorter men can be quite. I don't know who he is, but I felt he was pushing his chest out to accommodate for the fact that he was.
So when you kiss. Well, I suppose it's just like when a man's tall, they just bend down. Woman bends down.
Tom Cruise, Sean Penn. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Okay, can I ask for you guys, all the women in the room, is it a deal breaker if someone is shorter than you? Does it not
just
matter?
Say yes.
Yeah, say yes or no if it's a deal breaker, someone being taller than you in a relationship.
No, I'm afraid that I think through my life, the majority of women say that it is.
Elizabeth Miller, yes, that's like my ex who hated me to wear heels as it made me taller than him. Proper small man syndrome, and he'd pick fights with other guys on nights.
God, I'm glad he's an ex, Elizabeth.
Jesus.
Love.
Zoe, yes, I'm no surprise there. Look, nearly everyone else is no. Tori, hi Tori. Good morning, everyone. Tori. Just joined. Missed you guys. First live in a while. I hope you're well, sweetie. Oh no, all the yeses are coming in. Cassie, Alex Patton, Cheryl Jones, Gin Flora. Farida, yes, I am only 5'1" myself. I kind of understand. I'm only 5 foot, so unless I want to date Warwick, I'm screwed, says Lucy Williams. Wow.
It's really awful for men. It's really awful.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
It's just, but what I would say is, you know, though people say this, you can still wow someone with your personality.
Oh,
you never know.
Not just your personality.
With your personality and with your, and you know, if you can make somebody laugh and if you make them feel good and you cherish them.
But that's what a lot of men are saying. They're saying that the problem with this Tinder development or this
doesn't give them a bloody chance.
Doesn't give them a chance. And
I think it's wrong.
Only 19% of women said they would overlook the height thing. So
exactly.
that's 80%.
And that's all those women potentially missing out on somebody that's really fab. Because the thing is, what next? Well, you have to give your weight.
Yeah, okay.
Because a lot of men say, "Oh, I don't want a girl that's over 8 stone."
One woman cried when he met her on a date when she discovered how short he was. She cried out loud and then cried. Okay, just quickly, let's just talk about who thinks they're a moderate drinker. I want you all to share now what your average. How many drinks you think you have in a week?
Yeah, so if you think you're a moderate drinker, say yes, and how many units you have a week.
What I'm going to do is to clarify, actually to help you, let me pop this up. This is a units breakdown. So how many units of alcohol are in each drink? 1 unit in a single spirit, 1.5 units in a bottle of beer, lager or cider, 2.2 units in a pint of beer, lager or cider of 4% strength, 2.2 units for a small glass of wine, 3.1 for a large, and 9.8 units for a whole bottle.
So I would say, and you could verify this, I don't drink at home unless I have a glass of wine for having dinner.
That's true.
But usually on a Friday, I will have a couple of drinks with, you know, some mates from work, and that would usually be 2 large drinks, so 2 doubles.
Right.
God, when I think back to all the years when I would have
So
had
two
6 or 8
doubles.
doubles.
So that would be 4 units if you had
Yeah.
2 doubles of spirits. But
Yeah.
are you really having doubles, or do they chuck in a low bit?
No,
more?
God, no, it's measured out,
It is
isn't
measured
it?
out.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you're at home, you're never having just a single, unless you're measuring it.
What's interesting though is two doubles would be the equivalent of 4 units. So say you had 2 large vodkas.
Yeah.
That would be 4 units.
Yeah.
But if you had 2 glasses of wine, that's 6.2 units.
Is it?
Yeah. So
see, I almost can't drink wine now.
Yeah, you're taking in a lot more alcohol with your glass of wine.
Yeah.
Even 2 small glasses of wine is more than 2 doubles.
Really?
Yeah. 2 glasses of wine is 4.4, whereas 2 doubles is 4.
But my thing is if I were to go out, I mean, sometimes I'll have, you see, the binge drinking is bad. And like, I thought 2 doubles was a binge. Isn't that considered binge drinking? I think it's more than 2 units in one day is considered a binge. Whereas we tend to think, don't we? Oh, 2 bottles of wine, you know, some Jägermeisters, that's a binge. You'd be amazed. It's not. I mean, it is, but it's so little a binge.
Zoe Agnew, I'm screwed then. Alcoholic liver disease diagnoses have almost doubled in a decade. Total hospital episodes diagnosed with alcoholic liver disease per year has gone past, so it's around 210,000 diagnoses in 2023, 2024. So in 10 years, it has literally doubled from 110-ish to 210.
So this woman who did this article, she totally thought herself as a moderate drinker, didn't she? Are people putting up their numbers because we asked them?
Yeah.
And then she is this the app Dina was doing after Christmas?
I think it might have
been.
This is the NHS app, isn't it? Yeah. Lynn, I'll pop up. Do you need the article in front of you? Because I can't do their comments.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we can.
Okay.
So she was a social drinker.
She thought the NHS defines moderate as 14 units of alcohol a week. And they urged people to make this their upper limit. And she was, I think the long and the short of it was, she had a reasonably busy social calendar week when she did this. But she was horrified and shocked that with 1 or 2 events that she had to go to, her intake for the week was over 63 units.
Yeah. And when you read what she had, you don't think it's, you just go, you can see how that happened.
Yeah, so like on Saturday, she had a girls' lunch, 4 small glasses of wine and then 4 small glasses of red.
What, for dinner and lunch?
Wow.
That is actually a lot.
4 small glasses, that's 3 doubles. That's not.
Yeah, but for lunch and dinner.
For a picnic, so nothing on Sunday, then a picnic on Monday. She had 2 large glasses of wine, which is 6.5 units. Then on Tuesday, she had a cocktail, which was 2 units. So the cocktails are quite low because you're only doing
2 shots.
Yeah. Then she had champagne night. So but by the end of her week,
a good life, isn't she?
Yeah, her units, she said, racked up dangerously. So she got to 62.26 units on the My Drink Aware app. That's the app.
And this was an interesting fact, guys. When you drink a unit of alcohol, 1 unit, your liver has to pause.
Yeah, this is amazing.
The 500 vital functions in the body, encompassing tasks like filtering the blood, producing bile, and metabolizing nutrients, just to get alcohol out of the system as quickly as possible.
Think about that. You're putting something in your body that your body is screaming to remove.
All your functions have to pause. It's crazy. And like, if you suffer with period pains or hormonal problems, you know, your body goes on serious pause. You can't flush out your estrogen, all those things you need to do to be more stable. It's too busy trying to get rid of the alcohol.
I can't even begin to fathom the amount I was taking. I mean, I realize now what a craven alcoholic I was.
But it's even worse for women. It's worse for women.
No, but I mean, I would drink a bottle of wine before I went out and pretend to the people I was meeting that this was my first drink.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to all drink at least a bottle of wine before a night out. Me on my own, then endless drinks in the bar.
I used to drink almost a bottle of vodka on a night out. I was such a heavy drinker in all the decades that are so important.
Zoe, I have to take it easy on my PMDD week, to be honest.
You do, Zoe. If you really reduce your alcohol, you will have so much less anxiety. Your PMD will stabilize more. You know, maybe try this app out.
Yeah.
I'm going to try this app because I want to be really rigorous, because it's easy to go, oh, well, I just do, but you know, who knows? Like this woman, it might be more than I think it is. Also, they say that, is it Professor Nuts? He's the man on alcohol, isn't it? He said if alcohol came in now, as many of us know, it would be deemed an absolute poison. And the recommendations would be 1 unit per year would be safe. That's all.
I find that a challenge even as a recovering alcoholic.
With what they know about how poisonous it is and how cancer forming it is.
So the name of the app, a number of you were asking what's the name of the app. It's My Drink. Is it just read it and I've completely forgotten. My Drink Aware is the app. My Drink Aware. My Drink Aware.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what Dina was doing at Christmas.
So many people who go onto it think they were a moderate
drink.
Yeah. So it might just help. Mindful drinking in a weird way. I mean,
it's about, you know, what I do is if I'm. So like yesterday, it was funny because I was just really exhausted. I was a bit flat and I just was thinking, God, if only alcohol wasn't bad for me, I'd get blind drunk.
I used to think that about crack cocaine. God, if only this wasn't so damaging and corrosive, I could just sit and pipe it all the time.
But that is the point, is that it is that bad, you know. But when you're younger, you don't think about it. You just don't think about it, do you? You just think you're going to live forever. But my God, I regret how much I drank now.
Just a quick comment from Christopher, and then we're going to move on to the final story before we head off. Christopher Gundle, I used to drink. Then when I became paraplegic, I stopped after having a night out and got terrified the next day, as I thought I could have had a terrible fall getting into bed. So I stopped. Basically.
You stopped completely, Christopher. And so you have to find other ways to medicate, don't you?
Yeah.
God, you are so fucking strong.
You're a dude.
Honest to God.
You're a dude who's
being
being another dude who's just such a dude.
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder, if you don't know what I'm talking about.
That is tough.
Okay, just finally on that, when you used to go out drinking, because a lot of people aren't drinking, but or Zoe, when you do go out and drink, I used to love a good kebab at the end of a night. I mean, literally, I would just be like, oh, give me it. And I'd like a rum baba as a chaser, and then I'd get headbutted. That's what happened when I went to kebabs shops in Canterbury. Larry, kebabs dripping. You'd wake up in the morning, it'd all be down in front, and it'd just be awful. But what's your preferred food when you're out on the lash and you're staggering everywhere and you're like, whoa, why does kebab become the thing? Why has kebab?
Because they're opened.
Beautifully simple explanation. But anyway, the kebab could be a thing of the past. We have a new dish courtesy of a Chinese restaurant in Dublin. Cheesy chips, says Kaz Knowles.
Oh, no.
Oh, crisps, says Rosemary. I used to do that thing of just going to the fridge, taking individual ingredient elements and eating them whole rather than combining them into a sandwich. I'd eat cheese, I'd eat ham, and then I'd eat toast.
Sarah, her ends. Is it AHH Canterbury? Sarah lives.
Oh, Canterbury Mines. Yeah, you know, there used to be a kebab shop just outside Westgate as you were heading up to the
Is that what she's
Whitstable.
saying? AHH. I think she's saying that's what it's called.
Oh, is that what it's called?
I think that's where
I got headbutt. It's right on the corner, opposite Westgate, opposite the old gate. Anyway, there's a new dish in town. Late night Londoners are abandoning the kebab for something called, have you heard of this, any of our Irish followers? The spice bag.
It's not in a bag.
Well, no, but these ones are. Let me show you. Here's some images of the spice bag. Has anyone heard of the spice bag?
So tell us what it is.
So the spice bag was something devised in a Chinese restaurant in Dublin. Let me just find it. It started as a kitchen experiment that has grown in popularity. It was something that they created as a kind of off-shift dish or snack for people who were working in the restaurant, introducing the spice bag. It's a white paper bag of crispy fried chicken, deep fried chunky chips, stir fried red, green, and chili peppers, and a secret blend of hot seasonings, often served with curry sauce.
Oh, come on. Don't make it a secret blend.
Dipping. Oh, my God. It started as a kitchen experiment, grew in popularity. By 2024, the spice bag meal deal from the nearby Jeanne Street Food in Dublin made it onto Deliveroo's top 10 trending dishes globally.
Good God.
It's jumped the Irish Sea. It's over in the UK, and I want one.
Has anybody had this? Because I want you to tell me what you think the spices might be, because they say it's secret. But I want to make it. Is it breaded, that chicken? I'm going to have a go at making it, guys.
Well, they say it's kind of roasted.
No, they said a secret blend of spices.
Oh, did they?
But it will have
crispy fried chicken.
It will have Szechuan, I can never say that. Yeah. Pepper. Maybe it's got a little bit of 5 spice in it, I would say. But I'm going to have a go.
Yeah, I think you have
Just
to.
see if anybody's had it.
Has anyone had this? Yes, in Liverpool, 5 spice and paprika in it, I think. Shauna Roche.
5
That
spice.
looks disgustingly delicious, says Cheryl Jones. I've made it. It's amazing, says Zoe Agnew. Oh,
have you
massive.
had it?
James Flanagan, here we go. Massive over here. The most Irish dish. Not. To be honest, I've only had it after a few drinks and everything tastes nice after a few.
Yeah. Is the skin on the chips?
To be honest, Beth Scammell, to be fair, my favourite thing at the end of the night is to drink a litre of water and 2 Nurofen before
Don't have the Nurofen.
Asleep.
Bad,
I'm
dangerous.
So boring.
Don't have Nurofen.
I have to say, these photos do.
Don't have Nurofen before you go to bed. It's not
okay, Nadge, you've got to do your version of it.
I'm going to.
Yeah?
I need to find a brown paper. I need to buy some brown paper
Called a
bags.
spice bag.
I want it to look good.
All right. I've got my new recovery cure, says Lee Peart.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Lee has discovered a brilliant, I did a little video of it actually. I'm going to post it today, Lee, of, and it's called pre-pear, as in pear, like a pear fruit.
Ooh.
And you have it before you drink.
Ooh.
And then you have it.
Is it non-alcoholic?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a recovery thing.
I like his mocktails.
He went to Beyonce on top of an open top bus with a cowboy hat on and didn't have a hangover.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I know.
I want to do that. Nora Doyle, just under Lee's comment there, says no skin on chips.
No skin on the spicy. Okay.
All right, we're going to go for it. Thanks, guys. Julie says she's got swollen feet. I hope you feel a bit better.
Cold water. Stand in the bath up to your ankles in cold water and walk back and forth.
All right, guys. Lots of love.
Nothing.
That was fun. If you haven't subscribed, if you already subscribed, sorry. Just sorry, really, for us.